Well, welcome everyone to another live broadcast. I'm excited to be talking about media and missions with a good friend of mine, Bill Snyder. He's in the Philippines at the moment. So, just to preface this, if our internet signal cuts out, or whoops, just like Bill just did, he's gone to audio only. Don't be alarmed. He's fighting an internet, what shall we say, crisis right now, trying to connect, and we'll do the best we can as he tries to call in and converse. But we're talking about media and missions, multiplying God's message across cultures. And I'm excited to be talking to Bill because he's been doing this, Bill, what, nearly 20 years? More than.
We originally came to the Philippines 27 years
Can you
ago.
hear me okay, Bill?
I can. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Well, it looks like his connection is really poor at the moment. Audio only says on my end, but I can't even hear him at the moment. So it looks like less than audio only. We will. Okay. Oh, Lamar, you hear Bill? Because I don't hear him at all.
Can you hear me? You hear me? Can you?
Oh, well, here, Bill. No offense. I'm gonna sign you out here, and maybe you can call back yet once again. All right. All right, we'll wait for him to join in a moment. But as Bill is joining there, let me introduce myself. My name is David Joannis. I am the founder and president of Within Reach Global. You can find out about Within Reach Global at withinreachglobal.org. I also blog at davidjoannis.com, and it's all about missions, a heavy focus on unreached people groups. And I've been a missionary in China for the last nearly 20 years now, targeting specifically those who have never once heard the gospel in the 1040 window. If you go to our website, withinreachglobal.org and davidjoannis.com, you'll find a bunch of really great missions articles all about that, and I think it's pretty exciting. But what I've loved about Blab is the engagement of connecting with different people across the globe. And there you go, Bill. All right, he's back. Cool. So what I've loved about that in connecting with different people on Blab is this engagement for unreached people groups, for the least reached. And I'm excited to be talking to Bill today. You've been doing media in Southeast Asia for, what, 2 decades now?
Yes, we originally came here in 1988 to establish a media ministry that could integrate with local churches and planting the church in difficult areas. So yeah, I've lived in Manila 27 years, just almost.
Wow, 27 years. So you're a local almost.
Yeah, I like the dog and a lot of the good food.
It's a funny thing, huh? I mean, as long as you've been there, as normal as life is in the Philippines, it's a funny thing how we're always still going to be a little foreign.
Yeah, it's true. Guy named Herbert Lingenfelder wrote and said that one of the best things we can do as missionaries is become 150% people. 75% our native culture, 75% we adopt the culture of our calling. And so we'll never completely not be an American, and we'll never completely be a Filipino or a Thai or a Chinese. So,
yes.
But we adapt and we embrace, and God helps us.
Yes, that's right. I like that. Still, never 100%, but 75 is good enough. It's better than 50, right?
Better than 50, yes. and it takes time to get there.
Yes, and the missionary attrition is a real thing. So you see people who don't make it past their first term, second term perhaps, but when you push through and get over that hump and you are on this long-term missionary venture, that's when true impact begins to show itself. And I've been watching, I mean, we met Bill, 5-6 years ago, I think, in the Philippines.
Probably, yes.
I remember you talking about all the amazing things you've been doing in media missions. that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this theme again. I just did recently a topic about media and missions with Create International here in Thailand. And I think ours is going to be a little bit different because you do. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you've been involved with for the last nearly 3 decades?
Well, I came to Asia from Illinois, United States. Before coming into missions, I was studying Christian, and it was a great experience. We were there for a decade. Sense the call of God to come and do whatever media would look like.
Oh, unfortunately, yet once again, it looks like we lost Bill. So I'm in Thailand at the moment. Yeah, he's cutting out and dropping. I'm in Thailand at the moment. Bill is in Manila, Philippines. He told me beforehand that he was struggling with his internet. So this might be part of the system here as we talk today, but he's calling back in. Looks like it might work this time. Let's see. There he goes. Yeah, awesome.
In coming here, I had some background in broadcasting, and we started with dialect radio programming, particularly to parts of the Philippines where the church was very small or didn't exist. And the goal is to not just create programs, but to create programs that connect people. And so that's been a theme as over the decades. We've been able to continue to have that theme. The goal is not just words in the air, but the goal is connection, so that real Christianity can be expressed by a local person who is there. Sure, we'll create mobilization videos and things like that, but I want to empower local believers to use tools that can help them to reach across barriers into neighborhoods, people that are culturally different than they are. And so it's been a journey of discovering what works and partnering very closely with local people in content development, script writing. We got into drama not too many years ago, and a lot of drama we found is something that really does impact people's lives, and the shelf life of a drama is a decade or longer. Yeah. So it's been, the goal is, again, we want to build a bridge into people's lives who don't know Jesus. We want to establish things that will help them to understand that Christianity is not a Western religion, but it is about a relationship with the eternal God that can answer all of the great questions that they have of life. And we want to put that type of message into the hands of people who can share it. It can be empowered as they share it. When we get advantages of television, we'll use it. If we can use cable television, we'll use it. Social media, we'll use it. But the win is that when the tool is in the hand of believers who know how to use it, and then they take it places, and it crosses a barrier and it brings Christ into a new setting. Then you've got the whole connection. You've got the full circle. You've got the message, you've got the contact, you've got people that can then receive the message and also be followed up on. And that's in essence what we're trying to accomplish in a variety of ways. Little did we know, David, in 1988, what media would become.
Sure. Very different today.
It's different, and it shaped what it is that we're doing because it is so different, and in many ways so much more wonderful than it was back years ago.
Well, you don't have to have a razor blade and be splicing all these little bits of film to be able to create a short documentary, right?
Absolutely. And we just recently created 2 short dramas for Christmas. Southeast Asian context. What if Jesus was born in Southeast Asia? And we called it Ang Regalo, which in Tagalog means the gift. And it is available on YouTube. It's available from our apmedia.ph website. And we did a thunderclap effort in order to get people aware of it, and had 350,000 people that had it on their screens the first day.
Wow, are you serious? That's incredible.
Yeah. So, there's ways of, and then their goal, our challenge to them is share it with their friends, share it with other people. So
Yes.
it is a marvelous moment, but it takes creativity and it takes networking or partnership to get the message into the places where we want it to go.
Amen. So that's what you mean by the theme, it sounds like, of Asia Pacific media. His message multiplied across cultures.
Yes.
Seems like you're taking these tools, these films, these dramas, and giving them to the hands in a very contextualized way for people to actually be able to spread them and be confident and culturally realize that it's very culturally acceptable with this actual tool to empower and impact their own communities.
And David, it's all about relationships, because if the message is going to be contextual, then you need a scriptwriter from a local context. You need actors from the local context. You need users who bought into the idea early on. They're the early adapters, and then it goes on from there. So it is really, in missions is this way, and we all know this that are listening. It's all about relationships. And allowing those relationships to shape the embryonic idea that I or someone else may bring to the table, because it's got to be owned, it's got to work in that culture.
Yes,
and that's you wake up every morning with another culture. You're dealing with new friends. You're dealing with people that you've got long relationships with. The goal is making that you understand in their day.
You know, as you talk, you remind me of an upcoming conversation I'm going to be having with a Laotian missionary to Cambodia who is living in Thailand. And we're talking about the contextualized gospel. I think it's called something like the multifaceted, Jesus through the lens of multifaceted culture. And you know, I've gone to churches in China. Like I said, I've been living in China for the last 20 years. I've seen the picture of Jesus on the cross, Chinese, with this long ponytail, and that's their contextualized version of Jesus. I also saw black Jesus in a church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and of course, we've all seen white Jesus with baby blue eyes and flowing blonde hair. On the other side of that, the contextualized message, when it is written through the lens of a culture to a certain specific people or people group, that's when you see true transformation, and they could then begin to accept. God is, I feel like there's multifaceted aspects about God that we know little about. His beauty as reflected through these different cultures. And that's what I believe Revelation 7:9 is all about, when we see every nation, tongue, tribe, and people standing before the throne, and God's glory is represented as through his creation and all these different ethnic peoples. That's what I love about contextualized media.
There's a Indian professor. I took a graduate course under him. He's from Calcutta, and have a great church there. But he said this. He said, "We are looking for landing strips for the gospel message. Points where the message contacts the soil and it works." And that's, as a media worker, that's what we're trying to discover. What is the felt need? What is the message that can attract attention, that is speaking to the heart issues, the hopes, the dreams, and the fears of the people that have not yet been introduced to Christ? And that message will take a different form based on what it is that people are coming to the screen to watch. And it's exciting. It's just, God just surprises us. Let me say, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me?
Okay. I can see you, but that's okay. As long as you can hear me, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Probably 6 years ago, we created a movie in the Philippines for youth, because this is 50% of our is under the age of 20.
Yes.
We create a movie targeting youth, and we use the basketball because
looks like we lost Bill again. Yeah, I think we lost him. He'll probably call back in a minute. But what he was saying is true. The population, the youth population in the Philippines, I can't remember what percentage he just said. I might have said 75% is under the age of 25. Let's see what Bill was saying was here.
There.
There you go.
Okay. 50% are under the age of 20.
50.
And basketball's the number one sport. And so we created this movie. It was aired on a national commercial television network. It has been in DVD. It has been used broadly in outreach, even in schools, because it talks about the issues of drugs, of premarital sex, of a sense of hopelessness growing up in a place where you had no way out as a youth.
Yes.
A friend that saw it or heard about it, living in the nation of Pakistan. He asked permission to voice dub the movie. We gave him permission.
To do what? Do what with the movie?
To voice dub the movie
into
the local language. Okay? Never in my mind that a Filipino movie used in Pakistan. He said that the issues of youth in that are very much the issues that we dealt with in the movie. So he successfully voiced up it. And he said these were the best movie that I used to reach Muslim youth with the message of the gospel. And I said,
wow.
Why is that? He said, because we're not targeting Muslims. We are targeting the needs in their life. And they come up with the journey, the story. They learn about Christ. So there are surprises along the way. We do something for one group and we discover that it works elsewhere, because some of the deep needs of people cross cultures.
Yes.
But it's very important that the message and the issues of a third world country seem to translate to other third world countries, multiplying his message in ways we hadn't expected.
Yes, that's incredible. I love how you can take one film and impact multiple cultures because you're focusing on a specific theme that obviously, well, we're seeing that in China. College students are college students are college students, to quote Shakespeare, right? A rose is a rose is a rose. They have very similar issues. They have very similar struggles and things that they're going through at the moment. And films that are not specifically pigeonholed towards Muslims, towards Buddhists, towards animists, etc., may very well cross into cultures and further multiply. I think that's what we're talking about here. Media and missions, multiplying God's message across cultures. You take a Filipino film with themes of premarital sex, drugs, etc., and it could easily impact nations across the 1040 window.
Well, in the secular world, David, I mean, in our world, Korean telenovelas are hugely popular.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
it's already working. AO is films from other countries, and they're just subtitling them into the local language, and they're attracting an audience. So if the movie speaks and is well developed, there's the potential that it can be utilized in other places. Now, I would say this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would say that Western movies, as far as gospel presentation, I've not seen them to be very, very effective at all in other cultures.
Yes.
There's something about the Asian face, there's something about the script writer growing up in a two-thirds world country, that the issues seem to cross cultures more easily. So the goal is we've got to produce more content. All of us,
yes.
Not just one organization, many. We've got to produce more content.
I agree. We often have all these films from the West that those are the ones that are dubbed into the local language. And the themes do not necessarily, like you said, it's not the Slumdog Millionaire story. So we can't relate to it in the Asian context. Right. I do love what you're saying about that. Speaking of which, by the way, I'm just going to pause here for a moment. Bible News Radio, Stacy, take care. God bless. And I wanted to mention this. If you're watching from your browser right now and you have not specifically signed into Blab with Twitter, you're going to be unable to engage with Bill and I. We could chat on the side. You could ask questions. You could actually call in and share your screen. And I would love it if you push over here on the left-hand side. It says tweet or post. Share this with your friends, because what Bill and I are talking about, media and missions, I think we're going to get to in a second. But the reality is this is a topic that brings missions down to a level that everyone can be a part of. Like Bill said, more media needs to be created. And it brings missions down to a level that everyone can join and be involved in somehow. So I wanted to pick your brain real quick here, Bill. As you talk about the power of Asian missionaries or Asian actors in this particular conversation, why do you feel that Asians make such good missionaries, or Filipinos in this context make such good missionaries?
I heard, I'm gonna change countries for a moment, because there's a state here that can relate to the Philippines. I was sitting once with some Chinese house workers, house church leaders, and they were describing why they felt that the Chinese would be great in the difficult places. And they basically said, we've grown up in difficult circumstances. We don't need a lot to go somewhere. We faced persecution. We survived it. And so Filipinos grow up, many in very difficult circumstances. They don't need a lot to live on. Their comfort zone is very big. It's not a small comfort zone. They can adapt. They're very adaptable. They are quick studies at language. Most Filipinos speak 2 or 3 languages. Yes. By the time they're in middle school or high school. They speak their home dialect of Ilocano. They speak Tagalog. They speak English. So they've got 3 languages to start with. A movement in the Philippines over these workers, other countries, as tent makers. Basically, they're to send money home so that their family can advance, because the economy is difficult in this country, or has been until recently. So there's 10 million Filipinos that work overseas already. There's close to 2 million Filipinos in Saudi Arabia. Is in remarkable places they are. There's almost nowhere you can't go that Filipinos are already there. Oh, if they begin to catch a vision that God uses them in this place, more than just send money home to families, but God could use them in this place to touch their employer, to touch people around them, to be an instrument in God's hands in that place, then we've got an amazing workforce that's already in places where it would be difficult for the normal missionary approach to even get there. You know, who's going to get a mission visa to Saudi Arabia? You know,
not you or I.
Not you or me. You know, unless I go to work for Amoco or Exxon.
Yeah.
That's so. They're adaptable. They're quick studies in language. They are very. They're probably some of the most gracious people I know, and they're already in every country, or 100 plus countries around the world, working for employers or involved in this. So
yes, they're in the houses of sultans and kings.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So for all those reasons, they are, in some ways, maybe we could call them almost God's secret weapon in missions, because they're already.
I love that. You know, My wife is from the Philippines. We met 20 years ago this year while smuggling Bibles from Hong Kong into China. I was living in Hong Kong. She came on a short-term trip, and it was love at first sight, of course, at the airport on my side. She was very pakipot, which is reserved or shy, so I chased her for many years. But over the years, as I've been married into the culture of the Philippines, I have seen the power of Filipino missionaries specifically. We're talking in the context of Bill Snyder there in Manila, and as well as obviously you got the Back to Jerusalem movement in China that for the last 80 years they have been having this vision of continuing the gospel direction and presence, traveling from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth in the direction of the Europes, Africas, and then up back around to the Americas, South America, and finally hitting Asia. Now, like this baton is being passed to the local missionary in Asia, whether they be Chinese, Korean, Filipino, etc. And I agree. If we could empower them with tools to reach those nations, the animistic, the Buddhist, Islamic, and unaffiliated, we'll call China, that's where God's glory could be sent throughout the 1040 window, the remaining unreached people groups.
And you know, it's empowering, but it's also casting a vision so that they see their situation through different eyes. That as an overseas worker, they're just not there for earning. That's going to happen, but the vision is bigger than that. Recently, I met a wonderful medical doctor who has given up pretty much mostly his practice. His wife continues to work as a medical doctor, but he's pretty much given up his practice with the goal of challenging Filipino Christian OFWs to see their service as more than just having a job.
Yes.
And because he has done it, he has worked overseas, served overseas, he has the credibility, and he's able to be a champion for this. And I think we're gonna see hundreds, if not thousands, of Filipinos have a whole new vision for why they are in the country they are in, and serve more effectively.
With one of the main words being intentional. They're already in every nook and cranny, whether it be rich or poor, of every nation, but perhaps they don't even realize the power of. Tell me this, by the way. I just recently heard that the government of the Philippines is putting the Great Commission scripture, Matthew 28, on the Filipino passport.
I've not heard that. I hope yes. I think I would be a little surprised.
Sure. My friends at Intercessors for the Philippines, Pastor Dan Balayas, who has close connections to the government, just recently told us this. Perhaps it's something coming, I'm not sure. But, you know, Philippines is considered the only Christian nation in Southeast Asia. You're kind of choppy there. I couldn't quite catch that last one.
South Korea is also.
Oh, okay, yes.
Significantly, it's true. But Korea is sending, you know, workers all over the world,
yes,
aggressively sharing the good news. I guess let me add this, David. If my voice is coming okay, it's not too choppy. This is a moment. Where is your home? U.S. originally?
Yes, Arizona.
Illinois. Okay. This is a moment where the Western Church, that is in America, Canada, reaching those who have never heard before. The West does not have all the goods. Westerners tend to talk more. We need to come more often and listen, develop deep partnership relationships with Asian churches, leaders, and cultures. This gospel will go much faster. we have those kinds of deep relationships
Yes.
with a common vision for reaching others.
Amen.
This is a time for deeper partnerships
Yes.
and vision casting together. And whatever good that we have accomplished here over the years, it's because it has been based on deep relationships in multiple countries. It's allowed us to do things that I could never have even dreamed of doing. But because of those relationships and common vision, we've seen some wonderful things happen over the years.
In China, we call that guanxi. If you're going to get anything done, you need to have guanxi with someone. And it goes much beyond just that use your friend wisely kind of relationship. These deep set relationships, yes, I totally agree. If you do not have that, then you are not going to be able to partner in a deeper level and therefore impact the target people group or target city or nation that you're trying to reach. So going back then, I hear what you're saying about relationships, about the power of the Asian missionary. Where does media then fall in this position? Do you provide these people with video dramas, etc., and tools to then reach out? Or how do you see in the future media impacting cultures?
I think the big range of people use media every day. I think the Filipino is on the internet for hours a day.
Yeah.
So they're already using it. Okay. But they will be honest. So a text message,
Oh, it looked like we just lost Bill. He was pretty tough to hear him there with his internet connection. I'm sure he's going to call in just a moment. He's probably still hanging out on this browser, but he'll probably just refresh and call in. We'll wait for him to join. Welcome, by the way, Van. Appreciate your prayers. I feel like that we have this relationship that's growing, and we just met on Blab here. All right, looks like Bill's coming in. Almost there. There he comes on. Here.
Are we back?
You're back. I see ya.
Okay. The one thing, to see that there's so much more that can be done with the media that is in their hands. Okay, the smartphone, the variety of things that can be done with things like that. So number one is training. Number two is creating stories that are, to me, that are culture-based. Right now we're doing a number of salvation stories of Buddhists in a country in Southeast Asia. And basically it's four-minute documentaries where we go to a place, a person tells a story. It's their story in their language. It's edited, it's made available, it's shared, it's then utilized in that format. So teaching people formats that can help them to share salvation stories outside of the fact of them having their own more broadened vision of using social media. Third thing is where it is possible and the funding and the relationships are possible, being short or long form dramas and making those dramas available that can then be utilized by churches and believers and shown in unique settings in homes or outdoors, depending on the place. We work closely with Sword Productions, another ministry based in the Philippines, and 2 years ago completed a meeting in Nepal. Contextual story. Everybody was Nepalese actors. The crew was Nepalese. Professionals came in from the outside to work with them. The movie was premiered in Kathmandu and then distributed by D and taken around the countryside and shown in villages in the mountains and shown by churches. And it worked. It worked. The story worked. Hindu people who had no understanding of God saw the change in a person's life and said, God changed their life. And we saw it in the movie. So creating dramas that can be used, but they're local stories told with the help of local people. It's the old expression, David, there's more than one right answer. So there's going to be local use, there's going to be the use of social media, there's going to be short salvation stories, there's going to be drama.
Amen. You know, everyone knows the power of media. You know, I've been outside of America for quite a while. Whenever, I'm sure you feel the same way, whenever you go back to the States, you're kind of out of the loop of the conversation because media impacts culture and it shifts so quickly. So if you're out of America for a couple years, 3 years, then you come back, you don't get the jokes, you don't get the conversations, you don't have the nuances of all the new media that's happening that people reference in the day-to-day conversation. Not only that, you can see how media from other nations is impacting different cultures. I remember going into villages, I don't know, this is about 17, 18 years ago. This was back in the day when you had a huge battery, 2 pieces of a projector. It took 3 guys to carry a projector into an unreached village in China. Somebody had the long white, curtain that you hang up in the village, and we somehow plug this battery into the projector and show the Jesus movie. Even that, dubbed into their own language, was incredibly powerful. Today, we're talking about a whole different ballgame. I can have everything that I just talked about on my smartphone and share it immediately. And when you're talking about multiplying God's message across cultures at Asia Pacific Media, you are creating these media pieces that can easily be transferred and transported into cultures that will highly impact them because it's in their heart language, it's in a felt need, and so it's exciting what you talk about.
And you know, there are many people who are taking a degree program in media in a variety of schools in the U.S., even in Asia. My prayer is that God will speak to a percentage of these people, and their goal will not be to work for Fox News or CNN or some movie production company, but they will see that the tools that they have learned can impact people's lives, and they will come and work with organizations like AP Media, Create International, or others, and they'll help us to take this to a whole new level. Because even as things are improving worldwide, the bar is higher. We can't produce junk. People won't watch junk anymore. It's got to be higher quality. The stories have to work. So I think it's a good prayer. Pray the Lord of the harvest that He calls forth media workers into the harvest field.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Let's contextualize that to your specific need, right? So, by the way, if you're watching this right now or you catch the replay, I would highly encourage you to go check out Asia Pacific Media. The link is there on the side. It's apmedia.org. I think basically, Bill, what you're talking about is the reality is that when people catch a clearer picture or gain a clearer picture of the much needed roles of media on the mission field, they realize, wow, I can use my skills. I've been in school doing media of some kind, whether it's film production, or et cetera, audio stuff. You can use your skills on the mission field to impact multiple nations, countries, cultures with the gospel. And it's a huge need in the missions venture, in the missionary venture.
Absolutely.
So, Bill, on that note, it's been a little bit choppy on your end. I have a bad connection, but I still want to give a wonderful shout out to Asia Pacific Media because I believe in what you guys are doing. In fact, we use the link. Remind me of what it is again for the Chinese context. You have a bunch of Chinese media on apmedia.org.
Actually, we have our own streaming audio and website for China, for the Chinese world. It's simply zgtai.com. And it's a website with video content, print content, searchable website where you can type in any subject and you can hear programs in audio. There's short teaching videos that are designed for believers and leaders. And there's 4 hours a day of streaming radio programs at zgtai.com.
There's the link on the sidebar. If you are working in China and you need quality content, quality media to impact the people that you're trying to reach, there it is. Go to zgtai.com or zgtai. Tai is the word for station, it sounds like in Chinese to me. And so let me ask you this, Bill. What are some of your needs now at Asia Pacific Media, and how can people contact you?
Probably the best is just through our website, apmedia.org, where it says Contact Us. Click on Contact Us, and then you can write me. I'll get the email, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Needs, I would love to see a couple more workers join us. If somebody's got some background in animation, animation for children's types of programming, that's one of the things we're working on. I need another videographer who can join us, who can help in shooting and training people in developing documentary stories. Always there are finances. I mean, we are not funded by any major corporation or church. We are Assembly of God, World Missions, that's our background. But month by month, it is donors that help this ministry to continue. And everything that you see at apmedia.org has been funded by donation. Local churches, some business leaders, businessmen from different countries. So it's like many groups. We need talented, skilled people. We also need people who would believe in some of our upcoming projects, who may be able to be contributors to that. We'd love for you to, especially if you're working in another country, see what we've already produced and see if there's something that you can utilize right where you are. Sometimes it's to the Filipino community, but then there's other movies that are out there for Khmer, for Mongol, for Mongolia, for Indonesia, for Nepal, products that have already been produced, ready to go.
The Great Commission by Jesus Christ, Matthew 28:18. That's what they call the Great Commission, not the Great Suggestion. And I believe that each one of us who is a Christian is called to complete the Great Commission by making disciples. And we should have a global perspective, yes, to reach those in our own zip code, but you've got to realize there are millions and even billions more beyond our own zip code who do not have access to the gospel. There are no Christian bookstores. There are no Christian broadcasts in their area. If you have some sort of a passion for missions, if you love Jesus, and you are somehow skilled in media of any kind, I would highly encourage you to go check out apmedia.org, because you can be used to fulfill the Great Commission to bring the gospel to peoples who have yet to hear, or empower those in the Philippines, in Southeast Asia, to do that, go in proxy of you. You probably won't be able to get a visa into Iraq, but Filipinos are already there, all throughout the Middle East and Africas, different parts of Asia that is very difficult for Western missionaries to get into. I would highly encourage you to use your skills, like Bill said, not only for a broadcast TV station that is well known, but for the fulfillment of the Great Commission. You can actually do this, and that's where the rubber hits the road of the missions venture need. So great. Any other last thoughts, Bill, that you have?
And in coming and serving, whether it's short term or longer, the true impact is you are sharing your love, your skills with another person who's going to take it places you could never go.
Amen.
It's 2 Timothy 2, where we disciple a person who will then go and do likewise. And discipling people in the skillful use of communication is something that the church desperately needs in missions today. It just is like an energizer that fuels progress if it's well done. Thanks, David.
Amen. Hey,
Appreciate it.
I'm really happy that you were able to join me. We're fighting the internet connection, and we're fighting everything that could be sent against us. But in the end, I pray that this would inspire people to join AP Media, join Bill Snyder there in the Philippines and throughout Southeast Asia, and make an impact. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Lamar, appreciate those all those props. I feel the love. God bless you guys. And Bill, thanks so much for joining me here. All right, well, we lost Bill, but thank you guys. Tune in next time. If you go check out, by the way, my Blab profile, I have a number of upcoming Blabs scheduled. Go subscribe to those. Follow me here on Blab, and I'm excited to continue bringing more eyes to the forefront of missions, and I love this platform. It's an engaging platform. Yeah, Lamar, great to see you here. I always appreciate you jumping on my Blabs. I think it's awesome. And David, where are you from, by the way? I see your name at David, RA42006-861. I hope that's not your social security or something. By the way, oh, Argentina. Okay, great. Well, welcome. You would probably share a number of interests in these things. If you're interested in media and missions, you know, get in touch, excuse me, with me on my website. It's just above there, or obviously go to apmedia.org. But always enjoy seeing you guys, and we'll have to catch you next time. So anyway, God bless and have a wonderful day. I'll hope to see you next time, guys.